Hi, everybody, and welcome to our is it May already? Podcast. And as always, we have so many amazing people to choose from. And this person is no less than amazing in the world of laughter yoga. It is, as you can see on the screen there, her name is Chamundai. Now, people are already throwing things at the screen and saying, Move, you've got it wrong. That's not Chamundai, that's Jackie. Can we clear up, please, Chamundai, this name thing so that I can get it right for the next 30 minutes?
Thanks, Merv. Uh, well, both are true, of course. Like most things in life, there's not always just one answer. So I was definitely born Jackie, and I had a beautiful experience in my spiritual journey where I was with my then spiritual teacher, who, in a deep meditation, called me over for, an energetic kind of transmission and said to me, "Your name's Chamundai."
Oh,
And it had been a tradition in the school where I was studying that sometimes these names would come forth from our teacher from a higher place, I guess. And it was a very odd thing. What happened in me was this feeling like, oh, of course, it means bringing the light into the darkness. It's that type of, it's from the Sanskrit Hindu. So both things are true. So I initially didn't use the name a lot, and then I got an intuition to change my name in 2014. So people who knew me before 2014 would have known me as Jackie, which was definitely you, because we go way back.
we do.
And post 2014, they wouldn't know who Jackie is because they wouldn't even know that was my name. So there you go. We've clarified now, Chamundai. And of course, people who use the name Chamundai as you're doing, and I would encourage people to do that, is it's a different frequency of energy. So it comes from a Sanskrit history. So it brings forth that energy when they say it.
Wow, thanks for clearing that up. And I won't put you on the spot, but what would my spirit name be?
Buddha? Maitreya, the laughing Buddha.
No, I asked for that. I walked right into that. Fantastic. So thank you for that, and we'll delve more into your spiritual journey as we chat through this conversation, this podcast. But I want to go back, and you just said, we've known each other for a long time. I'm only going to guess 2006.
I think you're exactly right.
Oh,
Yes.
I didn't research that because I'm lazy. I just had a guess because I went to India with Dr. K in 2005, and I think it was when I come back that I met you at one of his workshops. So we'll get into that shortly. So before 2006, that fateful workshop where we met, who was Jackie?
Oh, super stressed out, grumpy lawyer, very, very uptight, very right and wrong. You know, the energy in a lot of legal practices, that real energy of this is right, that's wrong, there's no gray area. That was me. The kids either tidied to my standard or they didn't. So very busy, very in my head, very logical, good at what I was doing because that was required for being a lawyer. Although I had started to delve into counseling and other modalities by the time I found laughter yoga. So I wasn't purely the stressed out lawyer I had been before, probably 2000. So I was starting to realize there was more to life than the law and that I wanted to do more in life than be a lawyer.
What got you into law in the first place?
It was sort of accidental.
All right. You found yourself in court.
Almost, it was almost like that. When I was at school and we used to have I don't know, you probably remember, we had these guidance counselors who would come and sit with you to tell you what you should do when you grow up and leave school. And they said to me, "Oh, you can do anything." And I thought, well, that's helpful. And they said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Oh, maybe be a teacher." And then I thought, no, I don't want to be a teacher. And so my mum said to me one day when I was filling in my uni form, "Oh, maybe," she said, "I used to work for a barrister. You might like you might like the law. Why don't you become a lawyer? I
Oh,
said, okay, I'll tick law.
wow.
It was that random.
Oh,
I
wow.
did actually love it. And I did find myself in court around the first day of my legal career. So that was pretty funny as well.
I have a story from someone who did a law degree, found themselves in court on the first day and lasted one day as a lawyer because they said, hang on, this isn't about the law. This is about emotions and people arguing and debating. And he said, I didn't sign up for this and just scampered out of that. So did that sort of head you down the way of counselling and I believe mediation ultimately?
Yes, very much. When I decided that the law wasn't really the way I wanted to help people, it was quite a deep inner calling that this system that I'm inside is not really the answers to the suffering that I'm seeing with the people. I
Oh,
mean, they're winning their court cases, but they're distressed, they're upset, they're frustrated, they're still fighting. And I thought, this isn't the way that I want to be of help and service in the world. So then I became a telephone counselor for Lifeline and I trained as a relationship counselor. Then I got divorced, so that didn't work.
oh no.
Um, but of course, that opened my eyes to family law because I did work in family law when I was a lawyer and I became a mediator in the field of family law. And that whole area, then there was a whole different skill set around listening to people and helping people find their own solutions, which the law doesn't do. The law says this is what is going to happen to you if you go to court.
Mm.
And maybe this will happen as well, and maybe that will happen.
Wow. Wow.
Mm.
So, what did you enjoy so much about the law and mediation and counselling? I've spoken to a couple of Lifeline telephone volunteers, and I'm going, how do you deal with that? Because they are all about suicide prevention. You know, this is the last call that someone may make to someone. How on earth do you deal with, first of all, the skills around that? And you've already mentioned listening, but I'm sure there's something else. And then the emotions attached to that. How do you deal with that sort of stuff?
Yes. Well, when I was on the phones for Lifeline, it's a long time ago. It was about 1998, and the problems and the world was a little different to the challenges people are having these days. So in those days, there was a lot of people calling for simply to connect. They were lonely, and I'm guessing that is still the way now.
Yep.
And the power that I found in the telephone counseling was that I didn't have to solve their problem because we were taught to listen and reflect in a way that helped that person become empowered to find their own solutions. And that has been a real hallmark for me in everything I do, that I want to support people to find the strength, the courage, and the wisdom that's already inside them to be able to find their own solution. Because ultimately, each one of us only is the person who knows what is best. And so we definitely got trained very well, fantastic training. And we had a whole range of skills and training that we would offer. And there's a lot of support. There was a lot of support. So in terms of dealing with the what might happen or what you might hear on the phone, there was another person that you would call straight away who gave you support and counseling. So you'd receive your own medicine back. And so, in terms of urgent calls, like someone in the process of, like you were saying, thinking about ending their life or in the process of that, there was a whole network of support and emergency services and different connections. So you never felt like you were doing it by yourself. And I think that's a real key to how we manage life, is to feel that support.
The other thing you mentioned there, and as a long-time business person and a male, I just want
Mm.
to fix things. I want it fixed and I want it fixed now so that I can get on with the next thing. And one of the most profound things that I ever heard was don't try and fix it, help them to fix it for themselves. And you just said that again. And that's just a wonderful life lesson to know without being a lifeline counselor. So that was awesome. The other thing, I spent a morning with Patch Adams as well too. millennials and Gen Zs will have to rewind the clock to know what I'm talking about. It was an amazing movie with Robin Williams, a comedian, back in, I think it was 1978 or something like that. I stand corrected on that, but it was so long ago. But it was just an iconic movie. And when I spent time with the real Patch Adams, he called himself a social justice warrior. And I said, how do you deal with all of these atrocities around the world, orphans in Russia and some other things that were happening in South America? He said, it's not my problem to fix. He
Yeah.
said, and when I become part of the problem, I become powerless. And that just allowed me to put some distance between every conversation that I had. And as laughter yoga people, we stir up some emotions in people, and we will find ourselves in these conversations at the least expected time and having to deal with it. So I love that you mentioned that. Don't try and solve it, but help them to solve it in such a way as they can. So, as a lawyer of note, etc., all of a sudden you found a calling to laughter yoga. Tell us that story.
Oh, that's a fun story.
I know
So
it is.
it definitely was a fun moment. I had always had a strong spiritual connection. So prayers, I was brought up to pray, and so I was driving home from a court case one day, and I was on the highway. You'd see me driving along, and here I was watching the trees go by, and round and round in my head is, all the court work from that day. And so suddenly I just overcame myself or something with this decision to take some action to do something about it. And I said this prayer, I call it a prayer out loud, and I said, please God, what do you want me to do now? I'm sick of being a lawyer.
Oh, wow.
And so it was so heartfelt, I think. It was like, please give me another job, give me another job. And immediately I felt this idea or heard, whatever, an awareness, start a laughter club. It was just like that, into my head, start a laughter club. And the funniest thing, of course, is I had no idea what a laughter club was. I did not know about Dr. Kataria or laughter yoga or anything like that. And it was like, start a laughter club. What's a laughter club? And it just went over and over in my mind. And so fast forward, I go home and I'm looking on Google, what is a laughter club? And up came laughter yoga. And I had still didn't know what laughter yoga was, but I had been doing yoga for many years. So I thought, well, this is connected with yoga, so it's got to be good and I'll be able to do it. So then I emailed Dr. Kataria, who in those days answered all the emails, and I think it was 2006. And I said, I wanted to find out about laughter yoga. And he said he was coming to Australia, his first visit in a long time. And he came to Williamstown, which is where you and I met Dr. Kataria. So I tried to go to a laughter club because I thought if I was going to start one, I should go to one so I could find out what it was. But I couldn't find one where I was living, which was in Port Macquarie. And there were a couple on the website, but they were all closed. So my first experience then was to come to Melbourne. And that first day in the park, I just thought, oh my God, this is lunatic like.
You too. I'm glad it wasn't just me.
The funny thing is, I don't know if this happened to you, but I was like two people. Like there was like half of me going, this is like a lunatic. What are we doing? We're in the park and we're all laughing and giggling. But this other half of me was going, oh my God, this is amazing. It's so much fun. I feel so great. But I think if I hadn't done the second session, which we did inside I know there was RSL or some sort of club,
Yep.
that longer session where Dr. Kataria explained everything and explained all the history and how and why it all works. And then I found myself kind of rolling on the floor with strangers laughing until I cried.
I just had a flashback to that day because I was with Dr. Qatar. I think Marjorie was there as well, his wife.
Yeah.
And we're in the rotunda in the park in Williamstown, down by the beach. And there was no one there, and I was looking at my watch and he said, we can do this laughter session and everybody will come. And I said, dude, there's no one here. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it was like one of those movies where people appeared out of the ground and there was this crowd coming towards us. And I'm going, oh my God, it's going to happen. Here they come. And then the next thing was absolutely surreal. I think that was my first experience of laughter yoga as well. I'm going, this is really weird. I was well out of my comfort zone, but everybody else seemed to be having a great time. And I thought, well, there's got to be something to this. So certainly going
Mm.
straight to the workshop afterwards, I think it was a 3 hour workshop, gave me some context that goes, so that's what it's all about. So yeah, I just remembered that time in the
Yeah,
parks. What did you
that's
do
right.
then, Chamundai? What happened then?
Well, the same with me because the biggest thing for me from that workshop was I couldn't work out how this Indian doctor man had got me to laugh so much when
Yeah.
I was sitting there like this serious, uptight lawyer. And half an hour later, I was rolling on the floor. And what mesmerized me, Merv, was how did that process happen? Because I was like a process-driven lawyer. It was like, hang on, 1 minute I'm sitting here stressed out,
Mm.
grumpy, headache, and the next minute I'm lying on the floor looking at people I don't know, feeling very happy, expanded, no headache, no pain.
Mm.
And then I come up the back and volunteer to be on the board, or you asked me if I would have liked to yoga. So that was the thing that got me. It was like, hang on, there's something really profound going on here. In that short period of time, whatever he has done in his process of this class has transformed me. And I was a different person when I got up. So that was when I really went, well, hang on, I want to know how to do this. I want to help people. I want to be able to do what he's doing, hence my coming on the board and following, stalking you all around until I could do it.
So what was the first step? What did you then do with your laughter club, etc.?
Yeah, so the first thing, because I'd been told to start a laughter club, I was really on a mission to start my own club. And so I trained initially with Shirley Hicks, I think it might have been in Sydney.
Yep.
And she got us straight out into Crow's Nest on the mall part in the public doing our laughter group. So I quickly got over that whole, I don't want people to see me, I'm going to look weird. Like that was just gone the first day. So then I went back to Port Macquarie and I started a laughter club at the beach out on the park. And because I was still a local lawyer, the Port Macquarie News decided to come and take photos as they do. And of course, the front page of the paper, local lawyer starts laughter club. And that was how I got the business name and the title of the laughter lawyer, because that's what everyone called me as I would walk down the street in Port Macquarie. People would point to me, you're that laughing lawyer, you're that laughter lawyer, you're that laughing lawyer.
What's interesting about that is they don't know that you're Jackie or Chamundai. They go, "You're that laughter lawyer."
That's right.
You get branded with that, which isn't a bad thing. It's really quite unique. I'm not sure I know of any other laughter lawyers. So tell me a situation in the law where you found laughter assisted in your law work. No, not necessarily for yourself, but for your clients.
The others. I noticed something very interesting happen because I was still working as an arbitrator in the Workers' Compensation Commission when I first started my laughter clubs. And I noticed in the year or so before I finished up that contract that every day when I would be running hearings, I found myself in this very light, not frivolous, but light as in there'd be a little bit of a joke, there'd be a little bit of a laugh. I would see something funny in what was going on. I would be interacting with people and the lawyers and the clients coming in a way that seemed to lighten the atmosphere. So I wasn't disrespecting anyone or anything like that, but I noticed in myself and in the room that there was like a lightness. And so it can be very easy in any profession to take ourselves very seriously. And that's the feedback I get all the time when people come to classes or I do workshops in law firms and things. It's like, oh, I feel light. I'm sure you hear that too from people. I feel light. I feel light. So it brought in this lightness. And there was definitely times where it would break the tension because I would say something that would cause me to laugh. And as soon as I laughed, then it would like break the tension in the room. So it happened a lot. And I think one other thing that sticks out in my mind from a laughter workshop I ran was with some senior citizens where there was a man there who came up to me afterwards, after this laughter session went for about half an hour. And he was doing this with his hands. And he said to me, my hands. I said, what's happened? And he said, I can move my fingers now. And he said, I loved playing the piano and I haven't been able to play because my fingers were so tight. And he said, now I can move them. And he went over to the piano and sat down and started playing the piano. It was like, oh my gosh. So those healing moments really happen.
Another memory that the longer you've been in this laughter game, the more memories and stories you hear. And I had one exactly the same as that. You know, a man in one of my business workshops, you work with a lot of lawyers and that sort of stuff. I work with a lot of businesses. And he at the start of the session said, this is nonsense. This is crap. This is garbage. And then at the end, he's going like this. And I thought, oh, he's going to come and hit me. And I said, what's going on? And he said, I can't move my hands, but now I can. What did you do? And I said, I'm not sure. And that was just one of those magical moments where I then dove deep into finding out, well, let's not just call it a miracle. Let's get some opinions and some theories as to why this may be happening. So, Jackie, what's your theory on the power, or let's call it the spirit of laughter?
Mm. Well, one of the things, because as you know, I'm a spiritual teacher and visit India and take retreats, and I'm very much aware of the world we can't see, the world behind our eyes. And I look at things and experience things very energetically. And I've had friends who are healers who will scan energy inside laughter sessions. And one of the things we noticed immediately is it has a very strong impact on the heart. So it has an impact, as you know, on the physical heart in the blood flow and the opening up the arteries. But there's an energetic heart, which can be measured like heart math with the electromagnetic waves of the heart. So when you laugh, there's a massive expansion of your heart. Now, if you look energetically with that, then that is going to release emotions. It will release energy that's stuck. So you're getting this whole flow of energy through the body and the meridians, if you think kind of acupuncture and, releasing blockages in the body. I think that the blood flow, the oxygen, the energy is releasing blockages inside the body is my best guess.
Hmm.
But I'm happy if you've researched it to know what you might think.
Oh, I just come up with opinions and I talk to people like yourself who have an opinion. And what I found, Chamundai, I keep on about to say Jackie, what I found, Chamundai, is talking to so many people about this stuff. I've convinced myself that there is this other thing that I have no idea or true explanation of. But when you can offer an opinion to people, they get really, really interested, especially post-COVID. Now, you just started to talk about where there's been a massive shift in the energy and the psyche of the world. So you just mentioned your trips to India. You've dove deep into this spiritual stuff. Now, just explain your current life, as
Mm.
well as being a lawyer and a laughter yoga person.
Yeah. So I have always been interested and had this inner knowing that there was far more to us as human beings than the physical body we can see. And my mother used to tell the story when I was 3. I said to her, what happens when you die, Mum? And she said, if you're very good, you'll get to see God.
Oh.
So I became very good so I could see God. But I think I was always looking for the divine. I mean, sometimes the word God's a bit triggering for people, but I grew up in the um, Church of England and prayed to Jesus and went to church, and God wasn't a triggering word for me. Now I see it as a universal consciousness that is all around us. And I still think God in my mind because in my life and in my being, there's a sacredness in that. So some people might say the creator or the universe or Mother Nature. And all of those words to me hold the same power. But there's something about when I think about, well, the hand of God is working through us, the divine, the ultimate consciousness that keeps our heart breathing. I mean, what human can stop their heart and then start it again?
Dr. Kataria, in our early conversation, said you must come to India. He said it's the spiritual supermarket of the world. And I had no idea what he was talking about. But then all of a sudden you see this whole other world, which to me was inexplicable, but to other people gave them a thing called hope or
Yeah.
enlightenment, whatever you want to call it. And I heard someone suggest it's just a higher intelligence that is
Yes.
higher than ourselves. And some of the things that I see humans do, I go, we're not very intelligent at all. So it wouldn't have to be a high bar to jump over. And when you tap into this higher intelligence, things start to happen that are just inexplicable. And I think that's what I learned over the 20 something years of laughter yoga, that when people come up with these stories that are inexplicable, I'm going, well, that is the spirit of laughter or the spirituality of laughter. So, Chamundai, we're about to, or trying to create a laughter revolution this year.
Amazing.
What do we have to do? What do we have to do?
I think that it's really important to teach people that laughter is not dependent upon the situation, that it's a skill and a resource they have within them, which is as easy as breathing once they start to tune to it and once they build that laughter muscle. And that when they learn to use their laughter for themselves, for their stress management, for their opening of their heart, to help them in relationships, to give them a different perspective, when they do that, there will be a revolution of love and higher consciousness. Because if you have a very easy relationship with laughter, like if you have you can easily laugh, you will have an open heart. All the spiritual masters laugh really easily and make jokes about all sorts of things. And they have this childlike, playful nature. And when we get back in touch with that, we will be in a higher consciousness. So to me, it's part of the pathway. It's a really important part of the pathway, along with healing and meditation and mindfulness and doing good deeds. But my experience of the laughter yoga community is that's who is drawn into it. People are always doing it to serve and help others, and they're always doing it with an open heart. They're incredibly generous people. So drawing others into our world so that they can experience the joy that we've found and the transformation that we've all come to. I think it's the education around, if you see someone lying on the grass laughing, you don't need to call the doctor. Just having a laughter moment. And I'm saying that because yesterday we had World Laughter Day and I was demonstrating a lying down laughter for the group, that where you lie down, you just laugh. And a lady walked by and she said to me, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Oh, I'm doing laughter yoga." And that's it, isn't it, Merv? In a nutshell, it's like once we can let society remember that laughing is not a sign of madness, it's a sign of happiness, then there'll be a revolution.
I'm going to take that way. Laughter is not a sign of madness; it's a sign of happiness. So seriously, that is a catchphrase that I'm going to take away and use. I've got to
Me
do
too.
it tomorrow. I yeah, quick write that down. I too went to World Laughter Day event yesterday, and it was being put on by Laughter Clubs Victoria. They did an amazing job. So I took a back seat to it all. I was just sitting on a deck chair next to this young man and his girlfriend. And this young man had tattoos, as they do, all over their arms and that sort of thing. And his lovely girlfriend was there, and she might have had some tattoos as well. And I was observing everyone laughing, and then I watched these two, and they were doing it together as well too. I'm going, that's amazing. You don't want to go down there, but you're actually back here with me, and yet you're going through all of the things. So that was just beautiful to see the ripple effect that it actually has on people. Chamunda, it's been an absolute joy. What gets you up in the morning? Oh, no, no, I need to go back. Plugs, plugs, plugs. Laughter Club, your tours of India. Plug, plug, blatant plugs.
Oh,
Go.
yes. So, yes, I have a free monthly laughter club on Zoom, so people can come from anywhere, anytime. It is on a meetup group, which is called Stress Less, Laugh More. And it's also on my website, which is laughterlawyer.com.au. So just the word laughter, the word lawyer.com.au.
Right?
they can contact me through there. My India retreats are also on that website, and I'm available to, speak and to come into organizations and help them to bring in a culture of happiness, which, as we know, makes the workplace so much more productive and more enjoyable.
Happiness, not madness.
That's it.
And your tours of India that you do?
Yes, so they go to a specific temple in the south of India, which is called Sri Puram Sri Narayani Peedam. Peedam means temple. It's all there's photos and everything on my website, which explains all about the teacher there who I have been studying with for the past 10 years. And yeah, it's a very beautiful place. It's a place of great peace. When you walk, there's a big outdoor path in the temple where you walk around. It's in the shape of a star. And there's just, as soon as your feet hit that warmth of that earth, there's a real energy uplifting through our feet because there's energy centers in our feet. You'll have to come, Merv. You haven't been.
Oh, I'll put it in my diary. And a final note, we just had our election, and one of the things that Anthony Albanese, our once again elected Prime Minister, said was kindness. And all of a sudden, the media went crazy, and they go, "What is this word? Kindness? Why are our politicians talking about kindness?" So I think there has been a major shift, and we have certainly drawn in the past those people who are in that heart space working. So get this laughter revolution. We want more of those people on board. But then I've certainly found that in my trainings that I do, there is the more professional people that are working from a headspace, want to take it into their workplaces and working with groups. So the world is our oyster at the moment. Chamundai, I'm still struggling. I was about to say Jackie. Chamundai, it's wonderful that you've spent this time with us, and great to see that you're still involved in the laughter community after all of these years. So I will say from Buddha to you, farewell.
Om Mani Padme Hum. There's your Buddha mantra.
Thank you so much.
Great to see you, Merv. Thank you.
Bye.